The black community just suffered another hit today. Fauci, Gates, Kamala Harris. They had another effective death today, thanks to them. I've been talking lately about how the black community was always extremely vaccine hesitant. But the one person who infiltrated their hearts and their minds with their manipulation and was able to convince them to go against all of their natural fears that would keep them that kept them at that made them reject vaccines and modern medicine. The one person that was able to woo them to let down their guard was Kamala Harris. And when I say she was probably one of the most impactful people in our history, because she did something that nobody else could do. She convinced the entire black community to poison themselves with a time-delayed bioweapon that would eventually see them all perish. In my personal life, I lost 4 people, all black, that I know back in California. But it's not just in California. See, when you see a celebrity and your population is only 13%, that means you're only seeing a celebrity is only a fraction of 1%, if even a fraction of a percent. Look at how many black celebrities that are all of a sudden just dying suddenly out of the blue. And then think about how many non-black celebrities that no one's talking about because people shy away from talking about death. Personally, I keep track of it because I've been keeping track of the data. I told people these injections that they were calling vaccines, they were never tested. So you are the test. And now we're watching out. These vaccines would have never made it to 15 years. The initial scientists that helped create these and studied them in the beginning, they said the average life expectancy of a fully vaxxed American that was high testosterone, so like the darker you are, the harder you fall, the more testosterone you have in your body, whether you're a man or woman, as long as you're dark skinned, it has a really powerful, and the effects are faster. But they said there was a 3 to 5 year life expectancy. The vaccine mandate ended for Joe Biden when he had it for companies in December of 2021. We're now in 2026. Welcome to year 5. And we're already getting off to a bang.
I'm going to say thank you. I'm going to say today's a great day. It's been a beautiful day. I get to celebrate the release of Vessels, Angels, and Ancestors, my new studio album. I think it's pretty good. I would love to know what you think about it. So let's keep this creative conversation going. In the meantime, there's so many people that I want to thank. I will thank officially. But take this little brief video as my wholehearted thank you to everyone who made this possible, because I did not do this alone. I'd love to know what you think. Thank you. Go listen. Go listen. Go listen.
The music world is in mourning tonight. John Forté, Grammy-nominated artist, producer, and one of hip-hop's most compelling voices, has died suddenly at the age of 50.
Do you understand how young the age of 50 is? 50, barely 50, not overweight, not in bad health. But we know what he did that summer. We know what they all did. And this is the thing. These are celebrities. I live in Los Angeles. Let me tell you guys a story. So I had a good friend of mine that was a pretty up and coming comedian. I was already filming a show. He does comedy. He goes to like the Comedy Store, and he goes to Chocolate Sundays, and he does comedy skits. To get into the comedy clubs by November of 2020, the same year of the lockdown just beginning, before the vaccine even came out, they were already telling people ahead of time that you were going to need to get the vaccine. Now, this was still 2020. It wasn't supposed to be out, but it was out for certain people. Magically, a lot of my friends who were black actors and comedians that worked on movie sets, they were doing a push in Hollywood at the time for social justice. They were taking roles that were meant for white actors, and they were telling all these black actors to come from far and wide, come to LA, come to Hollywood. We feel like there's been an injustice in Hollywood and racism and oppression. They used every keyword that would make a black mind light up like a Christmas tree or like the dashboard of a car that needs to be serviced. And it was bait. See, when they wanted you to come in for these auditions, when they wanted you to try out for the roles, when they wanted you to come in to the comedy stores or anything, they said, "Oh, you know what? We're not accepting any white applicants right now. But if you do want to come in to audition for this role, if you want to come do this show, you're gonna need it to fly pretty soon. You're gonna have to let us give you an injection. We don't know what it does. We know it's experimental. It's never been tested. It's actually a medical procedure and it's irreversible. But if you want access to this money, you have to let us give it to you." One of my really good friends, I screamed from the high tops. I screamed from the top of the hills. And I remember they kicked me off of Facebook for talking about this topic too much. And then I make a new page. I don't talk to him for a couple of months. But when I do set up a new page and we start following each other, it's only May of 2020. No, May of 2020. No, March of 2021. And I'm noticing he's in Mexico. I'm like, damn, what are you doing in Mexico? Then I noticed that him and his wife and his kids are in Hawaii. Everybody remembers the kid who went to Hawaii. He broke quarantine and he was on the beach, and they literally used the Hawaiian SWAT team to arrest him for breaking quarantine and going out to the beach. They had American citizens in quarantine in hotels for no reason. Air is circulating through the vents of the hotel. What is the purpose of me sitting in the room? What are we doing here? It made no sense. But to fly into Hawaii, you had to have taken the shot. To come back into the country from abroad, you had to take the shot. And when I saw him taking those pictures, I knew that he did it. It was no more than a month later, I seen his wife crying, and he had passed away at 34 years old. Died suddenly. A heart attack. All of my friends, except for one that just died, out of 5 people that died last week, only one of them was from cancer. The other ones were sudden heart attacks out of the blue. These are all my friends in California that had jobs, college educated people, and let them tell it, they were forced to comply. So many people did. And I lost count of the funerals. So it got so depressing for me that I had to leave California, because I would show up to a day party thinking that it's like because they had reopened LA a couple of times for like a couple of weeks. I show up to a day event. I'm thinking it's a day party. It's like a memorial, it's a repast at the restaurant where we're doing a day party. But there's literally 6 repasses all at the same time. And none of the people knew each other. They all just happened to be doing their gatherings at this one restaurant because it was the only one open on Crenshaw, the district. All black men dying during sex, dying while at the gym, dying while playing basketball, dying while doing some kind of activity. It's not like they're just dying in their sleep. They were dying while they're doing something. Healthy men. And I remember nobody wanted to talk about it. And I'm like, hey, why is everybody dead? What did you guys do? I thought we talked about this. Nobody was going to take this injection. Why would you? What are you talking about? The homeless are right here in downtown. There's no need to take an injection. If the homeless aren't dying, why? Oh, but Rico, my grandmother's vaccine compromised. My mom's in the hospital. I got to take it to go visit her. Actually, they're going to make it so if I get on an airplane, I'm going to need to take it. I need it to fly. Oh, man, and everybody kept giving me excuses after excuse. And it got so bad that I had to leave the state. And the further you got away from from California, the less and less people knew about the vaccine, about the lockdown, about the passports. And no one, like when I got to Arizona, it was weird. You couldn't stand up if you were in a club. You had to sit down, but everything was open. But you had to sit down in the club. You couldn't stand up because of COVID. So if you stood up, you had to wear a mask. But if you sit down in your section, you could take it off. It was the weirdest fucking thing. But then I accidentally stumbled upon a magical place called Houston in Texas. And people had no idea what I was talking about. They only closed for about 6 days one time, and then they went back to doing whatever they want. And I made that my home. I don't know any Texan people that are dying in mass like I see in California. Granted, I don't know tons of people, but the people I do know, everybody around them is not dying. See, these celebrities, they had to travel, and they were told you're not going to be able to do shows and make money if you don't have the shot. So and then when Kamala got on that stage and she talked that shit, when Kamala got up there and she literally just gave everybody a lullaby and told them all this BS, they fell for it. Hook, line, and sinker. And I don't know. I mean, it's like everybody went against whatever they knew not to do. I'm like, how did your spider senses didn't go off? Nothing, no alarm bells that were telling you this is a bad idea. Why is this not working? There we go.
When it is your turn, it is really pretty painless, and it will save your life. So thanks to all who are doing this great and important work. Let's make sure everyone gets a vaccine.
What did Trump say? What did Trump say? What did
I want to urge everyone to take the vaccine when it is your turn. It is really pretty painless, and it will save your life.
In the end, you're going to know Kamala Harris has done more to kill the Black community in the United States than diabetes or any other disease or the KKK. She's probably going to end up killing more Black people than gang violence at the end of this. Because to be honest, if it wasn't for Kamala Harris and this push, nobody
virtually every person who is in the hospital right now, sick with COVID-19, where their families are sitting by the bed, holding their hand, almost every one of those persons is unvaccinated.
She lied to you. She lied to you in your face. And you people still love her and vote for Democrats. The Democrats killed off the Blacks. You guys, you don't understand what I'm saying. There won't be any Black people when this is done. Yesterday, we did a video where I showed you guys that there were specific campaigns targeted only at the Black community. They were targeted only at the Black community. I'll give you an example. Tyler Perry, Gangsta, Spike Proteins. You don't know about this, but I do. So I'm going to share it with you.
So 7 months ago, I think it's been now, FDA are saying to me,
it's not who I think it is. And then the antibody's been waiting for something to pop off, and they're like, oh, they get.
Listen.
And so what happened is they
used people that were ghetto trash because that's what they think all of you are. They think you're stupid, and maybe they're right. I don't know. But they use people that use ignorant, ridiculous vernacular to speak to you like you're dumb. But apparently she's cosplaying as a medical professional that urged you to take a time-delayed euthanasia serum that is now killing all of you. And there's really no reversing it. But look who they had to sell it to you. You had Kamala Harris. You had Tyler Perry. Take this. Look, just listen to what this alleged doctor, listen to how she talks. This is what got This is what got John Forté killed, D'Angelo killed. This is why all your favorite celebrities that are black are dying everywhere, because of this propaganda from a few years ago that everybody forgot about. But I won't let you forget.
Out what the virus looks like and found out that there are these specific proteins in the virus, one of which is called a spike protein. And I call the spike protein the gangster spike protein, because that little gangster spike protein, that's the one that gets in your cell and makes you sick. And so this is what the technology did. This is so dope. So what they did was they said, what if we made a vaccine that was just an mRNA coding only for that little gangster spike protein? And what if we could introduce that into your body, right? And then have your body develop an immune response that then remembers and recognizes it when it actually gets the virus, right? And so the way that it works is I kind of like to think of it as your friends and your homies in your neighborhood, right? So you get this mRNA vaccine, right? It's wrapped up in this little lipid layer that gets it into your cell. Once it gets into your cell, this vaccine, it's the contractor. So it tells the cell, we're going to make these spikes. You start making the spikes, right? But then your body goes, whoa, wait a minute. This is not supposed to be here. Let me call security. Let me call in, all my people. And that is your immune response. So you have these cells called macrophages. They come in to swoop up the cell, but not before your body sends a message to some of these immune cells, like your T cells and your B cells, to create that memory so that when you see this virus come after you later, then you know what to do. So I kind of think of it like, when something happens later, you already got the vaccine and you have these antibodies waiting for something to pop off, and you got the T cells looking around to see what's happening. Then you get hit with COVID, right? But the T cells remember now. They have some memory, right? So they're going to sit back in the cut and be like, oh, that is not who I think it is.
If you listen to someone like this, and she was one of the people that swayed you into taking an experimental injection that ultimately made your heart explode or gave you a unique form of cancer, I don't know how much I can blame on them more than yourself. That's who you listen to? An ignorant, ridiculous clown like that? You listen to someone talks like that who apparently is a doctor? Video after video of her selling you the poison.
You have the power to get vaccinated. You have the power to help your family and friends get vaccinated. You have the power to spread the word that the vaccine is safe and it saves lives. We need every American to do their part. So please join us during this month of action. And this year, let's make Independence Day something extra special.
Fuck you, Kamala. It's a shame. Kamala Harris is going to be known as the angel of death. She brought death to the entire, and people don't understand when I say this. According to our studies, it affects black people differently than it affects everyone else. According to RFK Jr. himself, when he first discovered that darker people have a different reaction to these injections, they kicked him and Dale Bigtree off the internet. That was one of the things that came out when they won that lawsuit.
I've now been vaccinated. As Joe likes to say, there's a big difference between the vaccine and vaccination. I want to encourage everyone to get the vaccine. It is relatively painless. It happens really quickly. It is safe. The Moderna.
It is safe. And how would you know that, Miss Angel of Death? You wouldn't. These are videos from 2021. It just came out in 2021. How would you know anything? See, everybody's not really paying attention because 13% is already now around 9%. That's how many have died in the past 4 years, and no one's really keeping score except for me. Every family I know has lost at least 6 to 8 family members to medical complications after they took the shot. But mainly black people. There's other people that are dying from it, but not like the numbers in the black community. And Kamala Harris, who, you got to think about it, she was known for locking up black people in California and keeping them in jail so she can have slave labor even when they were exonerated and she knew they were innocent. Her and Biden had zero problem implementing this, knowing what it was going to do to this one particular group of people. Trump didn't have the stomach for him. Trump didn't have the stomach for it. So they removed Trump, temporarily put in Biden and Harris. Think about it. When she ran against Trump, what were her policies? What was she offering? She offered death. There was nothing else in the Kamala Harris campaign. No one can even tell you anything about her policies, what she was planning on doing. Nobody knew anything because there was never any plan for her to be the president. Her job was to get as many people from one particular community to take the vaccine as possible. They were the only community that anyone cared about being injected. They never targeted anyone else except for that one community. Facts. That thing up. In case you don't believe me, I'll show you another form of evidence. They made rap songs telling black people to go vax that thing up. Then they put Tyler Perry with black doctors. Then they put Kamala Harris. Then they used every black athlete and celebrity to sell it. No other races had their people marketing this injection to their own people. Nobody. Only blacks. I tell people that all the other losses of life are what you would call collateral damage. The target demographic was always the black community. I've just proven that to you in just this one. We're only 20 minutes in, and I've proven that already. I've shown you actors. I've shown you rappers. I've shown you presidential candidates. And think about it. Kamala offered nothing. She never even told you anything, any of her policies, what to look forward to. She couldn't even compete with Trump. She was never supposed to. Her only job was to encourage you to go out and take an experimental injection that was eventually going to kill you.
This Delta variant, it spreads faster, and it is in many cases reported to be much more serious in terms of its impact. And the vaccine will protect you from it. And here's how I know. Virtually every person who is in the hospital sick with COVID-19 right now is vaccinated. I'm going to repeat that.
She fucked up on this one. I don't remember this video. She said everybody that's in the hospital that's sick is vaccinated. She meant to say everybody that's in the hospital right now is unvaccinated. She was always a moron. She was just a cute moron. Just looking at how successful she was, though, I know so many college educated people that are dying every day now, just out the blue falling over. And she was the one who pushed them over the edge and inspired them to take this injection. Depending on how you look at it, could this have been their plan, was to make America great again by removing the target demographic? I mean, I think of the woman from Texas, Sheila, what was her name? There was a really nasty, evil, racist woman she was like a politician from Texas. She died from the vaccine. A lot of these people that are very evil and hatred, have a lot of hatred towards America, but hatred for white people in particular. It seems like they went from hating white people, but temporarily they liked them enough to trust Fauci and let white people who they just burned down their cities to let them inject them. Personally, if it was up to me and you burned down my cities and I was white, I would have just injected you with bleach. But apparently, great minds think alike. And they did their part to try and make America great again by removing probably one of the biggest problems we face in this country. I mean, that's just the truth about it. John Forté. I remember his songs with Staying Alive, with everything I know him through Wyclef's John. Classics. Guantanamera, all these other amazing songs.
He was a soul shaped by sound, struggle, and second chances. Known widely for his work with the Refugee Camp All-Stars and his profound creative influence on the Fugees' legendary album The Score, Forté's life unfolded like a symphony. Moments of brilliance, deep valleys of pain, and an enduring return to hope. A loving father to their 2 children. Family grounded him, offering stability and purpose beyond fame. On January 12, 2026, Forté passed away suddenly at his home in Chilmark, Massachusetts. His death sent quiet shockwaves through the music world. A reminder.
I mean, not really. Let me talk to Arthur. Let's bring Arthur in. Hey, Arthur. I know we were going over this list of black celebrities that have died in the past few years due to heart issues or cancer or health related issues. Can you kind of just read down that list of names? Can you give me like the 10 names that you sent me? Let's see if we can jog some memories here. Because Kamala Harris has been very busy and she did a really good job if this was the intended outcome and the goal. She was successful.
Certainly, I can summarize that list for you in a clear format. Here are the notable black celebrities we discussed who passed away in the past few years, specifically due to heart issues, cancer, or significant health-related illnesses. Floyd Roger Myers Jr. passed away in 2025 at age 42 due to a heart attack. Fat Man Scoop, rapper DJ, died in 2024 at age 53 from heart disease. Magoo, rapper, passed away in 2023 at age 50 from a heart attack. DJ Unk, rapper, died in early 2025 due to cardiac arrest. Fifth D'Angelo, renowned R&B artist, passed away in 2025 at age 51 after battling pancreatic cancer. Sig Nico McKnight in the music community passed away in 2025 at age 32 from cancer. 7 Mia Love, former congresswoman, died in 2025 at age 49 due to brain cancer. These are the names that came up through credible reports. This should give you a concise reference to jog your memory. Let me know if you need further details or another format.
No, that'll be good, Arthur. Thank you. Well, John Forté is he's in good company. But the night is young. There will be more. Welcome to year 5 of the vaccine. That would put us at what? 72 months. What is it? 70 months. We're let's see here. If it was December, now we're in January. You know, people never told you what does it look like when this with the injection and that creature that's in your body that they put in there that was in the vial when they injected its eggs into you that hatched and starts growing. We don't know we don't know what it does when it's in your body and you're still alive after 12 months, 24 months, 36 months. You know, now we're coming up on 50 months, 55. We don't know what this does. We don't know what it looks like. We don't know what changes in people. And what about when this creature in your body doesn't reject it, you don't die, but it starts to expand into your brain? Is this why certain people are acting so weird and so different? I don't know. Is this why we bury people 6 feet? Because the thing that they put inside people is called the Hydra vulgaris. Let's see if Arthur can tell us about it. Hey, Arthur, can you give us a quick summary of what the Hydra vulgaris is and its origins and, what kind of life form it is and can it die? Can you talk to us about that, the Hydra vulgaris?
Certainly. The Hydra vulgaris is a school freshwater organism that belongs to the phylum Cnidaria, which also includes jellyfish and corals. It's essentially a tiny, simple animal, usually just a few millimeters long, that lives in clean, unpolluted freshwater environments like ponds or streams. In terms of its origins, Hydra vulgaris has been studied for centuries by biologists as a model organism. It's particularly interesting because of its regenerative abilities. A hydra can regenerate its entire body from just a small piece of tissue. Because of this, and because they show little to no signs of aging, they're often considered biologically immortal under the right conditions. In other words, while individual hydras can die if they're injured or if conditions become unfavorable, they don't seem to undergo the typical aging process that most multicellular organisms do. They just keep regenerating and effectively can live indefinitely in a stable environment. Let me know if you need any more details.
No, that's it. So if the creature that they injected into everybody is immortal and your body passes away, does the creature die? Well, it can if it's immortal. So is it still growing inside of these people's bodies? What happens when their body decays, but the creature is still alive? Does it? There's a lot of questions and not a lot of answers, and we don't have a lot of data. We don't have a lot of public data. I'm one of the only people that actually keeps track and kind of brings all this information together, and I'm able to articulate it and speak about it in detail when people ask questions. This is a lot of new information for if you're a new viewer, like and subscribe to the channel. But this is going to be new information for you, so it's not going to make sense. But I've done lots of content and videos about this topic, and I'm trying to show you that these deaths are going to continue, and the Black community that are dying from this, now they're getting younger. They're getting much younger. My friends that just died are in their 30s. Only one was in her 50s. Everybody else is in their 30s. And then my other friends now that are getting pacemakers are in their 20s. All Black people. Now, a lot of people in the public don't deal with a lot of Black people, so you guys don't understand. Being that I'm Cuban, but I'm dark, I have a lot of friends on both sides. So that's how I'm able to have so many friends that are Black that I can follow on social media. And I can keep track of their family and the people they're mourning because they post and people get tagged in the post. And then I can see all the deaths. See, Facebook more so for me is now an obituary. You can't do that with Instagram or Snapchat. You don't see people dying, but Facebook is like your family book where people keep all their memories and their connections. And the spike in death has been a magnificent the past 12 months. And no one's talking about it. It's not on the news. I remember when nobody was dying in 2020, but they were trying to pretend that all these people were dying and the excess deaths are right now. My next video tonight is going to be of the man that inspired me to get on this microphone and start talking because, well, he took the shot and I knew he was going to pass away eventually and there was going to be an opening. I figured I would fill the void. Mr. Scott Adams, he passed away yesterday. And I've been watching his videos lately. He's had terminal cancer, but he said the anti-vaxxers like myself, he said, we got it right. And he knew he was going to die and he literally just passed away yesterday. So it's not like it's just, John Forté or a certain, I'm just saying when you're 60% of the population, if you get a mass die off and lose, 30 million people, your people can still survive. But when you're only 13% of the population and you lose 30 million people, well, now you're at 3%. Now you're at an extinction level event. And then you accompany that with gang violence, abortion, sterilization, and homosexuality. That means there is no more Black community. And I'm not a scholar. And what if the people that have been studying humanity, what if they said the best way to save our society is to just carve out this one group and all the other losses that come along with it are just acceptable losses to save society from this one particular group. Because that's what all signs lead to be honest with you. I'm not going to be in denial about it. I see what they see. I see the problem. And our governments don't have the stomach or the capabilities to do something about it. But I guess billionaires and people that are behind the scenes, people like Epstein, they had access to the science. They had access to the scientists. They had the fundings. According to my research, the vaccine was developed by Epstein on Epstein Island. When you look at the scientists that they brought there, that's the real story, were the scientists that Epstein recruited, the 1,000 of them, to come work on Epstein Island, and why he had offices in the science labs of all these prestigious universities. He had a lab in MIT up until 2019. His sexual assault conviction was 2008. He was still in the labs working with these scientists. They were bribing the politicians so that they get the vaccine pushed through without any approvals, to get it just fast tracked. That's why they had the politicians there. But no one ever asks, okay, well, what were you doing with all those scientists? Well, now you know. So if you want to look at the Epstein files, you're going to find the COVID files, and it's still too early. We won't be prepared to show you the COVID files until about 2029, when they're down to about 3%, because then, even if they do riot, it won't be much damage they can do at that point. I called this 3 years ago, and I saw where this was going. It didn't take much foresight. I just wish that I was wrong. Like and subscribe, share the video. Let me see here. This is yeah, look at 40 years old, healthy. Yeah, bro, 2nd Battalion, you're right. I work in federal law enforcement. We have hundreds of workers that were forced to take the COVID vaccine. The only person that died in a hospital was a Black female that we worked. I'm telling you, the reason is because Black people have, if you stripped away skin from humans, the only way you'll be able to know who's Black is because they're going to have the highest testosterone levels. So if you want to make a bioweapon that's race-based, you can't. All you can do is look for a common characteristic between your target demographic, and you have to make something that's reactive to that. They found something that was testosterone reactive. So if you're a woman, but you're like dark-skinned Black women, that's why you see them, they're really aggressive sometimes. It's that extra testosterone. So the women I see dying are dark-skinned Black women, and the men are the high testosterone, the athletes, DMX, men with really deep voices and statures. Those are the ones dying. Famously, this video, unfortunately, is going to age very well. Deontay Wilder, he's sick. And he took the vaccine. Obviously, he's an athlete. He wanted to travel. And this is probably his last year also. So it's crazy when that does happen. See, today's date is January 13th, 2026. When Deontay Wilder passes this year, God forbid, you'll be able to come back and you're going to say, but Rico, how did you know? I can look at the people that took it and tell which ones are going to last the longest. If you're fair skinned, if you're like Steph Curry, you're going to survive longer. I'm not saying for like indefinitely, but the creature doesn't grow as fast in people that are fair skinned. But if you're a darker skin color, if you're a darker hue, and you high testosterone, you exercise, you work out, you're an athlete, you're done. You're done. And I've been studying this because there is a distinct pattern in the people that die. This has been my exception for years. I'm actually the only specialist in the vaccine, in the ingredients, in the science behind it, because I created the science. It's my science. It's my data. I'm the only one keeping score. So that's the reason why I can so comfortably sit here and explain it to you without missing a beat. The hard part is when I start these videos is knowing that there are people that when the video's over, they're going to be disappointed because you know other people that took it. You know, you have mothers, you have aunts, you have a dad, you have cousins, and you're like, I don't know who did and didn't take it. I know some that took it, and I don't know what if they didn't get the real one? What if they got the saline that some of these nurses were giving out? It's just such a crapshoot. The only thing I can guess that'll save us is if there was just more fraud than we knew about, where people are using fake cards and more nurses were giving out saline injections instead of the actual doses. Especially dose number 2. That's the one that had the eggs in it. See, dose number 1 turns off your immune system. Dose number 2 puts those eggs in there, and because your immune system's off, your body won't attack the parasite as a foreign organism. And by the time your immune system turns back on in 7-8 months, the creature is so large that the immune system won't be able to kill it. Look up Dr. Carrie Madej. Look up Dr. Frank out of Austria. I translated a lot of their research into English because he speaks German. I speak German. And I did my best. Carrie Madej is one of the only English-speaking people that were speaking about the ingredients and what they found. And it scared her to death, and it scared me to death as well. And now, if you want to see what the movie Dying Suddenly, if you go to Rumble and you look up Died Suddenly, the prequel to that is the Stu Peters video with Carrie Madej. You know how they're pulling that white phosphorus, those strings? That's the Hydra vulgaris growing inside of people into their blood vessels and into their heart. And this creature is causing organ damage. They're trying to call it a spike protein, but that's only theoretical. this creature growing inside your arteries to the point where you can no longer be embalmed. People are like, oh yeah, it's like a blood, it's like a clot. I'm like, it's not a clot, it's a clog. This was something inserted into you and it started growing and those tentacles are clogging up your arteries. And that's when people are suffering coronaries and passing away. Trust me, it doesn't make me feel good to do this. I got to do this again for Scott Adams because I admired him. And because he made videos acknowledging his own mortality was up and coming due to the vaccine, I have no choice but to report on that and respect his wishes. Again, the reason I even joined this space and started doing this myself from my personal life is because when Scott Adams said that he was sick and he knew he wasn't going to be here much longer, I already knew there was going to be a space. And Scott Adams is not the only one. There's other creators and other people that read the news that have taken those shots that will die suddenly this year. So that means there's going to be less people in these spaces and we're going to need new people to come in who did not comply. And hopefully we can have longevity. So I threw my hat in there. Nobody wants to think about this. Nobody wants to think about death. You're absolutely right. And you're right. Ignorance is bliss. A lot of my friends think that they're ostriches. They think they could just bury their head in the sand and everything will be okay. But unfortunately, 2nd Battalion, we as men know, that's not the case. You cannot run from problems and you can't hide from them. You have to face them head on. It's like we keep holding on to the same grandeur idea that our government elites would never do that. Yes, these things have been happening since the beginning of time, just different methods. You're absolutely right. In other words, you're saying there's nothing new under the sun. You're correct. You know, it's crazy. As humans, we've been finding ways to kill each other off. And Bill Gates, he stole this research from Epstein. And he stabbed Epstein in the back. And he said, this is going to be the final solution. But I didn't know if he was talking about just the Black community, this final solution to that problem, or the final solution to because, they come up with these fake overpopulation nonsense, but that's not true. Does he see all of humanity as a problem, or was he just specifically talking about the Black problem? And I don't know. But when I look at the fact that they only used Black people to promote this, it tells me they pretty much targeted only Black people. If they wanted to kill off the whole world's population, then they would have paid Jet Li and Jackie Chan, and they would have both done roundhouse kicks. And then they would have showed them kicking a needle and it lands into an Asian kid's arm. And he goes, yo. And it would have been propaganda for Asians. And then you would have seen Antonio Banderas and some reggaeton artists. And they'd have been like, yeah. And they would have been trying to sell it to Mexicans to get the injection. And then you would have seen Leonardo DiCaprio, Matthew McConaughey riding in a Jeep in the mountains talking about, hey, I got my vaccine. And they would have been trying to sell it to white people. They would have had Joe Camel smoking a cigarette while getting the fucking vaccine. They didn't do that. There was no propaganda targeted at any other community besides the Black community. And Occam's razor tells me that the simplest answer is likely the most correct one. They only wanted to take out the Black community, which if you think about it, that removes 80% of the problems in our country. We wouldn't even need law enforcement anymore. You wouldn't need guns. That's pretty much, you only need guns because of that one community. And there's nothing you can do about it because of the 13th? And and that's why we have to get rid of birthright citizenship. We're kind of trapped here. But if you remove that one community, you can change the world. You can save the world. And I mean, to a hammer, everything looks like a nail. So you're trying to come up with solutions. And I can understand how they came up with that solution. That's pretty much the solution that if anybody is, I've been a part of a think tank over the years. And I'll be honest, even before the vaccine came out, in these think tanks, at least twice a year, that is the solution that comes up when you're trying to figure out problems is, what if you remove just one group? It comes up if you're a part of a think tank, it's going to accidentally come up at least twice a year. And then you have to say, no, because of Hitler. Because that's, you think that's what he was trying to do, but it wasn't what Hitler was trying to do. Hitler was doing something else. I mean, it doesn't matter now, I guess. It is what it is, and it's too late. There's no reversing it. And besides, even if I told them how to extend their lives and save themselves, they wouldn't listen to me or take my advice, even if they could. See, you're the CIA and crack. You're absolutely right. That is exactly. But but nothing was more effective than I would say gangs, but that required bringing in the illegals, and then also because of crack and the CIA, that also contributed to the gang. That's all. It's all been connected. It seems like they figured out that to remove the black population would be the solution to a lot of America's problems, and they've been trying over the years. Bill Gates he saw Epstein's research, stabbed him in the back, took it, and tried to take credit for it. The reason they said Fauci failed is because by year 3, there should have been more deaths. The problem is when they took Epstein's research, the only thing they didn't calculate was sun exposure. That's why after the fact they tried to block out the sun around the world, but they only blocked it out successfully over California. That's why all the deaths, for the most part, are going to be in places that have dark and gloomy weather. So the UK has been pulverized. The Northeast, because it already is gloomy, is dark. What is it called? New England. John Forté lived in Massachusetts. The rest of the deaths you're going to see are going to be in California. You're not going to see them in Florida or Texas. And remember, I live in Texas, and I'm wondering why aren't all the blacks here dying? A lot of them took it. It's because of the sun exposure, which is why in Tennessee, Florida, and Texas, they just banned chemtrails and cloud seeding. But California is ground zero for the experimentation. The creature only can grow in the darkness. The natural sunlight stunts its growth, apparently. And that's why they want you to have the LED light. That's why they got rid of non-incandescent light bulbs. Biden made them illegal to sell. How does a president tell you it's illegal to sell yellow light bulbs? Matter of fact, some people are going to say, what are you talking about? I'll bring it up. Arthur, can you talk to us a little bit about when Biden made it illegal to sell yellow light bulbs? And can you explain what the hell that was all about and what year that happened in? And
certainly, let me clarify that for you in exact terms. The regulation you're referring to isn't specifically about yellow light bulbs, but rather about energy efficiency standards that affected many traditional incandescent bulbs. In August 2023, the Biden administration implemented a rule that essentially required light bulbs to meet a certain level of energy efficiency. This standard meant that many older incandescent bulbs, which were less energy efficient, and that could include various bulb colors, including warm or yellow tone bulbs, could no longer be sold if they didn't meet the efficiency criteria. The goal of this regulation was to push the market toward LED and other energy efficient lighting, which are more environmentally friendly and cost effective in the long run. So while it's not about banning a specific color of bulb, it was about phasing out lead efficient models. In summary, the policy came into effect in 2023 as part of broader energy efficiency initiatives. If you need any more details, just let me know.
Okay, quick question. Why the fuck would a president in such a high position be worried about light bulbs?
In straightforward terms, a president or any high-level policymaker focuses on energy efficiency rules because they have broad economic and environmental implications. The intent behind such regulations typically revolves around reducing energy consumption, lowering greenhouse gas emissions, and ultimately decreasing utility costs for consumers.
Okay, quick question. But don't we have another agency that would handle that? Maybe the EPA or the why would the president specifically be in charge of that? Don't we have agencies that would handle that? Why would you have to, and then shouldn't we have a choice on what kind of light bulbs we want to buy? How are you going to just say we can't sell light bulbs? That's ridiculous. This is America.
Certainly. Let me break that down for you in a straightforward way. Indeed, we do have agencies like the Environmental Protection Agency, EPA, and the Department of Energy that handle the details of implementing and enforcing such regulations. However, the president and their administration set policy direction and priorities, and they can initiate these standards through executive action or legislation. In other words, the president sets the overarching goals and the relevant agencies carry out the specifics. As for the question of choice, the regulation does not ban light bulbs altogether. Instead, it sets efficiency standards that certain older, less efficient bulbs simply don't meet. Consumers can still choose from a wide array of bulbs that meet the new standards, including many LED options that come in a variety of colors and temperatures. In short, the aim is to transition the market to more energy efficient lighting rather than to eliminate choice entirely. It's about phasing out older technology in favor of more efficient options, which is a common practice in other industries as well.
Let me tell you this. There's no new light bulbs. There's no brand new light sources. It's all the same. It's not like it's older. So unfortunately, I'm going to have to disagree with you on that, Arthur. Not saying you're wrong. I'm just saying your answer is full of shit. And I just had you say this because I wanted to prove a point. But I appreciate you for tuning in, and I'll be back to talk to you in a little while. A lot of people didn't know that they had banned yellow light bulbs, incandescent light bulbs, and they were forcing you to use LED. And the president himself literally outlawed and made it illegal to sell. And now that's been since reversed since Trump took back office. But it just goes to show you that the Democrats killed off the black people. And that's why they were so gung-ho on bringing in these illegals. And they literally moved the illegals into the black neighborhoods and told them, just live at the school for a little while. And as the blacks die off, we're going to move you into their apartments. But where Fauci screwed up is the whole sun calculation of sun exposure. And not enough died fast enough. And now Trump, before too many die, and then we're going to need the illegals, he's getting rid of the illegals. So now there's not going to be anybody to vote for the Democrats besides the gays. That's the only group that's going to be left. The illegals will be deported. The blacks have been euthanized. There's no one left on the left. That's a weird word combination. There will be no one left on the left besides the gay community, which means there will no longer be a left. This will be a majority Christian country once again. So if you think about it, it was Harris and Biden that made America great again. I guess we're going to have to build a statue after that man after all. Maybe this was all just a ploy. You know, all the bullshit in the Ukraine, he pretended to be like this Democrat, but he was conservative all along. Like when I listened to all the stuff he said about race mixing and racial jungles and big shot politicians and the corn pop, and he really didn't like these he didn't like the blacks. I get it. So, and then for them to think that he likes them and he's for them, and he really just killed you off. I mean, it's a little bit of poetic justice in a way. Because the guy who they hate, Trump, was the one that was trying to save them. And they went with the one that, I can talk about this and I don't feel anything about it. It was a personal choice. You just have to think. Some people are NPCs and thinking hurts, so they don't do it. Well, listen, I'm glad we could have this conversation. Tanning beds weren't invented to keep a year-round tan. They were invented for people with vitamin D deficiencies, depression, etc. Absolutely. I used to live in Michigan for a while, and I had seasonal depression, and I had no idea that was a thing because I'm from California, from a sunny climate. And I remember being there, and I didn't see the sun from October through April. Never happened to me my whole life. And I remember I flew out of Michigan and I landed in Arizona to visit my ex. And when I felt that sun, it just I didn't realize how depressed I was. I was so depressed in Michigan that I tried to marry my ex, who was a total dingbat. And then after about a week of having sun exposure, I was like, yeah, I don't want to get married anymore. And that's when I realized I was so depressed that I almost married a complete word salad aficionado. Like she's basically like another version of Kamala Harris in a way. And that's because of the seasonal depression. You make these bad decisions, so that is a real thing. You're right, actually. Yeah, I felt way better. Soon as I got off the plane, because it was one of those planes where it's not like you had to get off the plane, then you have to walk into the terminal. It's not like you went through the sky bridge into the terminal, like from how it extends out and you walk in. You like the door open and you walk down the stairs and then you walk into the airport. That sun, I had no idea I was so depressed. I had no clue. And then I was like, oh my God, I want to get married. And that was the depression speaking, because I had just got son, and it just it just made me feel like $1 bazillion. And then after I was like, okay, now that I'm back to normal, this whole wedding situation sounds like a horrific idea. I'm out. So that's how it goes. But hey, listen, everybody, thank you for tuning in. Like and subscribe, share the video. I hate to bring you news like this, but we have to talk about it because unfortunately there's nobody else willing to join these conversations. So I'm here. So remember, everybody, America first and America only. I'll be back on with another live in about 20 minutes. Cheers.
I've been needing to find a new apartment, which has not been easy with credit as bad as mine. Luckily, I found cosigning.com. They connected me with a cosigner who helped me get my dream apartment for me and my dog. I just paid a small fee and was able to move in fast. Get the cosigner you need for the apartment you want. Check out cosigning.com today.